The pocket battleship Lützow and her crew were caught in the middle of an intense combat situation. In classic German naval style, their surprise attack on convoy JW51B had failed. The Kriegsmarine found itself outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. Nevertheless, true to their aggressive doctrine, Lützow and the rest of the German fleet pressed on, engaging the British with all they had. Lützow kept firing her 28-centimeter guns at close range under thick fog, which severely reduced visibility. But as time went on, it became clear that no one would emerge victorious if the reckless fighting continued. Someone had to back off either the British, the Germans, or perhaps both. After World War I. Germany was forbidden from maintaining a full military, including a proper navy. However, by the 1920s, the restrictions from the Washington Naval Treaty allowed Germany to scrap its outdated pre-dreadnought ships and start designing new vessels under a 10,000-ton limit. Though the Allied powers could still build ships up to 35,000 tons, the Germans were not willing to be intimidated. German naval officers began crafting an ambitious warship design, one that would be light enough to comply with the treaty, but powerful enough to take on heavier ships, through careful planning and international negotiations. Germany introduced the Deutschland-class warship in 1928. These ships, classified by the Kriegsmarine as armored cruisers, were built for the same goal: to overpower any enemy ship fast enough to catch them or to escape if faced with superior firepower. The lead ship of the Deutschland-class cruisers measured 186 meters in length, with a beam of 20.7 meters and a draft of 7.25 meters. Under full load, her displacement was nearly 16,200 tons. Officially, she was said to fall within the limits of both the Treaty of Versailles and the Washington Naval Treaty. Powered by 8-man 9-cylinder diesel engines, delivering over 56,000 horsepower to 2 shafts, she could reach speeds of up to 52 kilometers per hour. At a cruising speed of 37 kilometers per hour, her operational range stretched to nearly 20,000 kilometers, and even more at lower speeds. Before hostilities began with France and the United Kingdom, the Deutschland had a crew of 586 sailors and 33 officers. This number rose to 1,040 as war drew closer. Her armor was relatively modest, a belt ranging from 60 to 80 millimeters, a main deck between 17 and 45 millimeters, and an upper deck of 17 millimeters. The front of her main guns was shielded by 140 millimeters of armor, with 80 millimeters on the sides. The ship also carried 2 Aratho AR-196 seaplanes, launched via a catapult. These reconnaissance planes, equipped with 1 machine gun and 2 20mm cannons, could also carry 2 50-kilogram bombs. Additionally, the ship was armed with 2 quadruple torpedo tube mounts at the stern. Her main firepower came from 6 28-centimeter SKC-28 guns in 2 triple turrets, 1 forward and 1 aft. Designed in 1928, each of these guns weighed over 47 tons with barrels nearly 14 meters long. They had a muzzle velocity of about 910 meters per second and could fire shells up to 36,475 meters, depending on angle and ammunition type. These included armor-piercing, semi-armor-piercing, and high-explosive shells. Fitted to a fast and maneuverable ship, these guns posed a serious threat at sea. Secondary armament included 8 15-centimeter SKC-28 guns mounted in single turrets amidship. These were also used on ships like the Scharnhorst, Bismarck, and Graf Zeppelin classes. Designed by Rheinmetall, these guns weighed about 20,000 pounds, had a barrel length of 7.8 meters, a muzzle velocity over 875 meters per second, and a maximum range of 23,000 meters. Many were later repurposed for coastal defense during and even after the war. Up to the Cold War, Deutschland initially had 3 8.8-centimeter L-45 anti-aircraft guns, later upgraded to 6 L-78 or C-31 models. These newer guns offered a longer range of over 17,000 meters and a muzzle velocity of 1,060 meters per second. capable of firing high explosive and illumination rounds with tracer shells. Due to their short barrel life, around 1,500 full charges, they were replaced by 10-6 10.5 cm L, 65 and 4, 3.7 cm anti-aircraft guns. Deutschland was ordered from the Deutschwerk shipyard in Kiel in February 1929 and launched 2 years later. She was christened by President von Hindenburg and Chancellor Heinrich Brüning. It's said that the ship began sliding down the slipway during Brüning's speech, causing an awkward moment. Sea trials started in 1932, and after a successful round of testing, the ship was officially commissioned in April 1933. More testing followed, and she visited several foreign ports across Europe. In April 1934, upon returning from one of these voyages, the crew was surprised to receive a visit from Adolf Hitler, who toured the ship and spent time with the sailors. Over the next months, Deutschland continued to visit ports across the Atlantic, including the Caribbean. After visiting several South American countries, the ship returned to Germany for maintenance and had her aircraft catapult installed. In early 1936, she joined her sister ship at Merwick to visit Madeira and the Atlantic. But the voyage was interrupted by the outbreak of the Spanish Civil War in July. The two pocket battleships were then deployed to the Spanish coasts to conduct non-intervention patrols, aiming to prevent Soviet and British forces from supplying the replicants with weapons and other equipment. Germany had chosen to support Francisco Franco and the Nationalists, providing them with intelligence and supplies. In May 1937, while moored at Ibiza, Deutschland was attacked by Republican aircraft. Although her anti-aircraft fire repelled some planes, two Soviet SB-2 bombers managed to drop bombs on her. One hit a starboard gun, causing fires that killed several crew members. The other bomb exploded near the bridge, wounding dozens. Following the attack, Deutschland returned to Germany for repairs and to bury the fallen. In retaliation, Admiral Scheer bombed the port of Almeria Letters, Sing 1 week before the German invasion of Poland. In September 1939, Deutschland left Wilhelmshaven and headed toward Greenland to target merchant vessels. The crew was instructed to follow prize rules. Merchant ships were to be stopped, inspected, and sunk only after the crew was safely evacuated. Her first target was the British transport ship Stonegate, which she sank on October 5, 1939. A few days later, she encountered the American ship City of Flint and brought it to Norway for further inspection. On October 14, she sank her third target, the Norwegian transport Lawrence W. Hansen, as British and French forces began to pursue her. Deutschland was called back to the Denmark Strait for overhaul. It was then decided that renaming the ship would be prudent. Hitler and his officials felt it would be too demoralizing if a vessel named after the nation itself were lost in battle. The ship was renamed Lützow, after the famous Prussian general, Adolf von Lützow. Admiral Erich Raeder also hoped the new name would confuse Allied forces, making them mistake the vessel for the Admiral Hipper-class cruiser Lützow. Lützow quickly rejoined combat operations as part of Group Lima under Konteradmiral Oskar Kummet, which was assigned to capture Oslo during Operation Weserübung. However, Norwegian coastal batteries attacked the group while the ship was carrying over 400 soldiers. She was heavily damaged by 15-centimeter shells and had to withdraw after firing what few operational guns she had left. Lützow then returned to Germany for repairs and was recommissioned in March 1941. Soon after, Lützow left port again, but was attacked by British torpedo bombers near Egersund on June 12, 1942, forcing her to return. It wasn't until May 1942 that she re-entered service and was dispatched to Bogan Bay. She then became the flagship of Vice Admiral Kummetz for Operation Raxelsprung, which aimed to destroy Allied convoy PQ-17. This convoy included 35 transport ships en route to the Soviet Union. On July 3, Kummetz's force left Norway to intercept them, but thick fog hindered their movements. Lützow and the other ships ran aground and sustained considerable damage without making contact with the enemy. Despite this, the Luftwaffe and U-boats managed to sink 24 of the 35 ships. By December 1942, Lützow had returned in time for Operation Regenbogen, a critical Arctic sortie against Allied convoy JW51B. Kummetz split his forces for the attack, but the operation backfired during the Battle of the Barents Sea. British cruisers outgunned and outnumbered the German ships, forcing them to retreat. Still, Lützow steamed directly into the convoy, while other German ships tried to divert the escorts. In spite of poor visibility and brutal weather, she fired for over 20 minutes without scoring a single hit. She then moved to assist Admiral Hipper, who was being surrounded by HMS Jamaica and HMS Sheffield. Although Lützow engaged both cruisers, she caused no damage. Outmatched and unable to land effective blows, Kummetz ordered a retreat to avoid further losses. Furious at the failure, Hitler ordered all Kriegsmarine surface ships to be grounded. Lützow was transferred first to Oldefjord and later to Kiel. On April 13, 1945, more than 20 Royal Air Force Lancasters attacked her and the cruiser Prinz Eugene in the Baltic Sea. A second wave of bombers struck Lützow with a tallboy bomb, which caused her to sink partially in the canal. However, her main deck remained 2 meters above water, allowing the crew to continue operating some of the guns. She repelled multiple attacks until running out of ammunition about a month later. As Soviet forces closed in, the crew scuttled the ship to prevent her capture. Despite their efforts, the Soviets managed to raise Lützow and brought her to the Soviet Union for inspection. She was ultimately sunk during a weapons test in July 1947 near Winooski, Poland, bringing to an end the eventful career of one of Germany's most